Okay, we're ready to start.
Great. Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Finance and Claims Committee of the Normal Common Council for today, Thursday, May 8th, 2025 at 7:01 p.m. We'll begin with the roll call. Councilmember Jim Freyer.
Here.
Councilmember Ann Weatherstrand.
Here.
Councilmember Heather Dunn.
Here.
Councilmember Doug Sutton.
Present.
And Councilmember Greg Burnett. We have a quorum. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is acceptance of the minutes from the regular meeting of April 10th, 2025. And I'll pause to ask that we table these minutes. I started reading through the minutes, and the number of typos, misspelling. There's also a whole section that was duplicated. I'm going to ask that these minutes be tabled and redone and corrected because the number of corrections are too numerous to actually go through. So if I can ask the Telesco to please redo the minutes, remove, there's almost a full page that's a duplicate entries, a whole section, and the typos and misspelling, that would be appreciated. So we will review the updated, corrected minutes at the May meeting. Okay, and let the record show that Councilmember Johan Lopez is joined. Thank you. Moving on to public participation. We did not receive any emails prior to the meeting. Is there anyone that has logged on that has their hand raised that wishes to speak? I see one person in attendance, but they don't have their hand raised, so I'm assuming they're not looking to speak. So we will move forward and close public participation, which brings us to item 5, which is the reports, starting with A, the Oak Hills Park Authority monthly financial statements for January, February, and March. And we have Denise Brown from Oak Hills Park Authority to provide the update. Hello, Denise.
Good evening, everybody. Chairman, Mr. Burnett, and Council. It's nice to see everyone. I haven't been here for a little bit of time. So basically for January and February, we had very slow revenue coming in. February, we actually had nothing coming in. We had to close the course so often because of the bad weather. So it's kind of one of the, I think this happened about 4 or 5 years ago where we had to close the course totally for one whole month and have no revenue. So we did have the, the passes coming in. So that was, a little bit of income coming in, which kind of helped us sustain through January and February. And of course, we also have the money that we have accumulated through the good year that we had previously. So we were able to get through the tough months. And we do have money that is sitting in the investments accounts if we needed to tap on that, which is always a good thing for us. So March has been good. It has picked up a lot. And so we've had some incredibly good beginning rounds of golf. And by the budget that we had, we were about 132,000 over our income for that month. And we expect April to be good. We had some great weekends and we had a lot of participation in the golf, which was really, what we need all the time, of course. Right now we have about 24 tournaments that are scheduled throughout the year. I think there's only one Monday that's not booked. So our tournament scheduling is on course. And we've sold probably over 650 in the golf passes. And so, we're on target and that's a good thing. We're using a new software package at the moment. It's called 4Up. It's working very well, and it's also going to lower the cost for us. They came in with a better package, and so we decided to go with them. It's up and running right now. And the golfers and everybody seems to be pretty pleased with it. And let's see, the bunker project is still on schedule. That's going to be completed in September, October, which will complete all our bunkers being done to date, which will be, a great addition to the course. And our tennis center is, it's up and running this coming weekend. We've completed all of the new fencing around the courts, so the courts look very good. And we're very happy with the way that all turned out. And the restaurant is doing well. It's open 7 days a week now. They've kind of added a few new items to their menu. They've been introducing music on the weekends, which has really spruced up their business. And I think that, they're going to be headed into a good year. We do have the golfers menu that's there for the golfers. There's a lot of kind of small items that somebody for the golfers who want to come in. There's breakfast that's served up until like 12 o'clock. And so I think that's good for the golfers. And, we hope that we're going to have a very successful year as we head into the good golfing season.
Councilmember Jim Freya.
Thank you. Hi Denise, nice to see you again.
I do.
I noticed that the bunkers there's a lot of work being done on those, and there's just another couple of words saying there's other projects that are going on. I had heard something, but is there more practice facilities being introduced, or some stalls to drive balls? And do you know anything about that, or what some of the other items are, that other improvements that are going on?
There's a couple of practice areas where they have had not installed, but they have portable large netting, so that if you want to come and you practice into the nets. And, one of the conversations we always have, and we will continue to have until we can figure out if it's something we want to do, is to put in simulators. That's something that we've always discussed. Of course, it's a very large cost, and, we have to kind of figure out if it would be something that would be a good project for us to undertake, because some people, the golfers kind of feel a lot of them don't really care about doing the simulator kind of golf, and some do. So we have to kind of really weigh out and have a lot more discussion on it, hear many more proposals, and think about something like that in the future. But that is something that's always been a conversation. It's ongoing.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I had in my mind. Was it seems to be very popular. I see it advertised quite a bit in a number of places. Usually it's in connection with some bar or someplace that they have a golf simulator. But I was not under the impression that you would have to buy it. Don't you lease it, and then you also get revenue from it as well?
Yeah, I mean, we have to lease it, but we have to find the right spot for it. It requires certain dimensions that if we don't have a facility that accommodates that, then we have to accommodate it, which
Okay.
it's a project.
Yep.
But it is something that has been talked about. And, if we feel that that's something that we can put on in the future, we would like to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Denise, how's the staffing as it relates to the management of the course? Are you up to full strength now in terms of staffing?
Just about. Jim Shell has had to put on a few new members. We have a new mechanic that he's hired and a new assistant foreman. They seem to be working out very well. One of the things that we continually have to deal with is what we can pay them, because if we have people who have come or expect to receive pay as in the private clubs, we really can't compete with that. So we've had to relook at how and what we can pay them and what kind of benefit packages for the full-timers. So, that's always something that's kind of a constant, it's not a problem, but it's always something that we have to be mindful of when we add on new people, what their expectations are for, a public course versus a private club. And I know that the golfing staff is fully staffed. I know that the Pro Shop is doing well. We have our attendees that, book for the carts and all of that. So, and we, with the addition of our general manager, that's definitely helped us improve many areas because he's on top of different projects, and he has a good overview of the golf course and the tennis center. And we're also looking at, trying to do better for our nature center. We have the trails. We've had a lot of volunteers trying to come in and clean up the trails, and maybe have that more of a feature for somebody who would like to come to the park and have the trails, the nature trails. We do have a woman now, her name is Mary Verrill, who has come on board, and she's very knowledgeable, and she's helping us to clean up the trails and, try to enhance that for the public.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Don't see any. All great positive news, which is very welcoming. So
Thank you.
keep heading in the right direction, and as the weather gets better, we'll look for even better financials for
Okay.
Oak Hills, which is great.
Okay, thank you very
Great.
much.
Okay, have a good evening. Thank you.
Good evening.
Thanks, Denise.
Okay, that moves us to item B under reports, which is the tax assessor report, and our CFO Jared Smith will give us an update.
All right. Thanks. Good evening, everybody. I'm filling in for Paul tonight. And I have just a few quick notes to mention. One is the senior and disabled tax relief application period will end next week, a week from today on the 15th. And that, that'll be important for us to get that in terms of filing or sending out tax bills. It's an important aspect to that. So we are. I'm gonna leave the tax billing to Lisa to talk about. She can talk about that in more detail. So, but we are in the process, in addition to senior and disabled, doing all the other preparations to get all the data to Lisa's office in time so that we can get the tax bills out as soon as possible and get that revenue in as quick as possible. We're performing permit inspections and developing a list of pro-ratable completions. So these are for commercial properties that may be partially completed. And so we'll go out and look at those and figure out the percentage completion and be able to assess them at a partial rate in those cases. Recently, we implemented an online filing system through our assessment software through QDS for the income and expense data. It had all been done through paper forms, and we're going to an online system. They still have the option to fill out the paper form and drop it off or mail it in. That's still there, but we are trying to shift to a more efficient electronic system. And MTS is on their way. MTS is the group that we hired to go around and look at try to find motor vehicle owners who are not paying taxes in the city, and so they went around the city once. They're on their second loop around and have a preliminary list identified of potential motor vehicle owners that we would collect from, and that list will expand in the future. Any questions?
Councilmember Jim Fryer.
Yes, thank you, Jared. I just had one quick question on the partial assessments. Is that a new process that we have, or has that always been in place?
It's always been in place. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a part of our process.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Jared, any update on the grand list? I know since our last meeting, there was some miscommunication that went out there as it relates to the growth of the grand lists.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, there was a, I would say, I think we communicated very well with the news outlets and gave them very good consolidated, summarized information to use. Unfortunately, they were relying on some older data from last year and didn't get the updated data for comparison. So the headline that you probably saw was a reduction in the grand list, and that is absolutely not the case. Our grand list did grow in a number of different ways. Number one, the commercial, we had some additional commercial come online, and also the second year of the phase-in of the real estate, of the revaluation on real estate. And so that second year caused it to grow significantly as well. We did have the reduction in motor vehicle, which we talked about due to a couple of different changes at the state level that we were required to implement, including the change in methodology and how we calculate the value of each of the motor vehicles, as well as the actual mill rate that we can assign to motor vehicles. So both of those things ended up causing us to lose revenue, be a revenue loss, and a reduction in the grand list now, in the motor vehicle grand list. But yeah, thank you for giving me an opportunity just to correct the record on that front, because we have gone back and forth with them. It's been actually quite a long process to get them to correct the record. There was a correction that was done. It was, I will say, as good as it gets from a newspaper, as good a correction as they get from newspapers. So we took that as a win.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions for the related to the tax assessor's office? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Thank you for that update. And as you mentioned, the application process ends next week for the senior tax relief. So if we can get the word out and reinforce that with the senior center so that any of individuals wish to apply, they have to the 15th to get their application in. So
Sure. And we do send it out to all of the current applicants, or
right.
all the current participants, and then follow up with them if we haven't gotten the application from them.
Great, excellent. Okay. Moving on in our reports, item C, which is the narrative on tax collections dated May 2025. Item D, which is the monthly tax collectors report dated April 2025. And item E, claims committee report dated May 2025. So over to you, Lisa B.
Thank you. Good evening. I hope you can hear me okay.
We can hear you very well.
Thank you. With your permission, I would like to start with the claims because that is the easiest part of it. This month, for the month of April, we do have one item that does require a vote from the committee, and that item is a refund of $41,395.54 on two prior grand lists, which was the 2021 and the 2022 grand lists on 71 Connecticut Avenue, which is a commercial property. It's an apartment building. As a result of a stipulated judgment, the original taxpayer challenged their assessment. It was adjudicated in court. And what has happened since then is the property has sold. So the prior owner who overpaid is entitled to a refund, rather than trying to issue a credit. They don't own the property any longer. So their attorney is seeking a refund to be issued to his client. So that does require a vote from the committee. And I would ask for your approval of that.
Okay, so you've heard the report of the Claims Committee dated for May 2025. There's one item over the $10,000 threshold of $41,395.54. Do we have a motion to approve the Claims Committee report and the refund? Councilmember Ann Weatherstrand, thank you. Are there any additional questions or comments relating to this? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor show by raise a hand. And it is unanimous. Thank you. So we will move this item to the full Common Council for review and of approval on Tuesday, May 13th.
Okay, thank you. Following up, the next two items are our April 2025 end of month report and the narrative that accompanies it. And through April, which was 10 months into the fiscal year, we were at 97.98% of our net collectible levy, which is very good. That's right where we need it to be. We still have 2 months left, so it will go up a little bit more. In addition to that, we also reached the 7 million threshold on past due collections, delinquent collections, very significantly more than what we collected in the prior fiscal year, 3.5 million net more this year over last year, primarily due to the tax sale, which was held in September of 2024, and that money came in this fiscal year. We are up to now $284,000 in cannabis tax collected since April of last year. That number continues to climb. We bill that every month and report it to you as well. We went to the Board of Estimate earlier this week on Monday to get our suspense list approved, which is primarily uncollectible motor vehicle bills that we have no valid address for. And once they approve it, we have the authority to turn it over to our collection agency, that third-party collection agency that we used. So we have turned over another batch of bills to them. Because just because we put an item in suspense doesn't mean we don't still try to collect it, and they can perform skip tracing activity that we do not have the ability to perform in the office. And hopefully some of those bills will be paid. But we're working on that. We also issued demand notices. I reported this last month. We did real estate and business personal property first. And then we followed up last month with motor vehicle delinquent notices. Those went out. And now, as the CFO mentioned, it's music to my ears to hear him say, we want to get those bills out as early as possible, because yes, that's absolutely true. We do. And that is really all I'm thinking about right now, because we have mill rates and I've got a plan. And we're going to have a meeting about it tomorrow with the assessor's office and my division and Jared, and start figuring out what we're going to do. There's a lot of moving parts this year due to the changes, as he mentioned, in the motor vehicle assessment procedure, significantly reduced mill rate on the motor vehicles. I know this committee has asked for us to include an insert with the bills. We plan to do that. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of questions about it because most folks are going to see their motor vehicle bill go down. But we will definitely do an insert. And also with it being the second year of the phase-in, we've got to implement a lot of moving parts with the real estate. So I'm hoping to get the motor vehicle bills out first, followed up with the real estate. That's the plan. And I'll have certainly more information for you by next month at this time. Hopefully I'll be able to tell you the bills are at the printer. That's my wish. We're also, let's see, what else are we working on? Delinquent enforcement. We're talking with our zoning department to allow us to assist them in collecting severely delinquent zoning enforcement fees through tax sale. We now have the ability to do that thanks to very recent legislation passed by the General Assembly that allows us to collect zoning violation fees in the same manner we collect blight fees. We have been very successful working on behalf of the blight office. We just brought in another large account that had been part of the tax sale, but the property did not sell. But we ended up collecting for them anyway on their blight fees. I believe it was in the neighborhood of $70,000 on one property. So we hope to bring that same success for the zoning department. And the only other thing that I included in my report, and I included it 2 months in a row, in case anybody missed it, I don't generally follow the online blogs, but there was a comment in one of the online blogs in March about our collection rate. And what basically I feel was a misunderstanding of the audit report and the uncollectibles that are listed in our audit report. We're audited every year. The city is audited, and including the tax collector's office. And they listed uncollected taxes at the end of the fiscal year. And we did a 15-year analysis because taxes are collectible for 15 years. So I tried to flesh out a little bit what it means when there's $4 million in uncollected taxes at the end of a fiscal year. For the 15 years that audit report looked at, we billed $4.6 billion. And we had left on our records 9.4 million, which is 0.2%. So our collection rate over that 15-year period combined was 99.797%, and we sent out approximately 1.3 million bills. So there are going to be some bills that are uncollected at the end of the fiscal year simply because there's business personal property where companies go out of business. There's motor vehicle bills where people move away and things like that. And we talk about these uncollected issues all the time. As a committee, I report on these things. So I just wanted to clarify why there are uncollected taxes at the end of the fiscal year. It's not through any lack of effort on the part of the 8 of us in the tax collector's office. And there was a further comment basically saying we are not uniform in our enforcement, and I addressed that as well. So that is part of my narrative, and I wanted it to be part of the permanent record that I provide to this committee for your information and in your conversations with your constituents so that you're aware of what is actually happening. And I'd be very happy to answer any questions or follow-up that you need.
Well, first, thank you for providing that additional narrative, because that's important background information to have. We know your department is working extremely hard, and to dispel any misunderstanding that might be in the public, that narrative is very helpful so that we can have the right information available to the public. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I did not respond online. I don't intend to. I wanted you to have it.
Right. Councilmember Jim Freya.
It's Lisa, I really feel for you. I mean, that's a terrible thing to have that hang out there, and I applaud you for doing that, looking back over the last 15 years. Do you have an analysis? Do you have that analysis over the last 15 years that shows that 99.97%?
I do.
I
I can
mean,
send it to you.
yeah, I think that'd be really interesting. That I think a lot of us don't put that in perspective. When you start talking about, well, we're at 97% collected as of today, and then it goes up and goes up and goes up, and then by the end of the year, we're at 98.9 or 99, and people just don't understand that when you take a look at your collection rate versus other municipalities, that we're clearly way out in front of the rest of the state, I would think.
Some of the smaller towns that don't have some of the challenges that we have are pretty high too, but you know, our auditors, and when you go out for bonding, the bond rating agencies will acknowledge it. When we had the efficiency study done, they acknowledged it, that for a city of this size, with the demographics that we have and the variety of properties that we have and some of the challenges that we face with an urban environment, and you know, our staff is 8 people. We've had
Mhm.
8 people for the last 25 years. You know, we're doing a pretty, I think, of course, I'm biased, but I think we're doing a pretty good job. And it was just disturbing that they made it sound as if there was money out there that we weren't bringing in that could be used for, you know, other purposes in the budget. And
Did
that was
anybody
my
talk to
concern.
you? Did anybody ask you about it?
No, there were comments that followed up that suggested that they reach out to the office, but that did not occur. And like I said, I just wanted you to have it just so that you're aware of it. But we billed 4.6 billion. That's
Yeah.
a lot in 15 years. That's a lot. So
Yeah. One other follow-up question. A couple of meetings ago, we talked about some hiccups in your IT system. Is everything running smoothly now?
we're getting there. Our software, our assessment and collection software, I'll know more when we go through this billing, because I have a user group meeting 2 weeks from now on billing procedures for the upcoming billing. And that will be the test, because our delinquent notices worked out pretty well. I did all the files myself, which is what I had wanted to be able to do, not have to go through the company. I want to be able to run my own and get them to my printer on our own timetable. So the next step will be, let's see how that works with this June billing. And I am optimistic that it will go well, but we're going to talk more about that tomorrow when I have that meeting with the CFO and with the assessor.
Good, good. I mean, you should not have to be doing work that, a software system is created to help you. It's not, it's kind of redundant for you to do it by hand or do it whatever the old methodology is, as opposed to new software that should be doing it for you. So hopefully we get that straightened out.
The software, the issues have to do with how we run these programs. So there's parameters that we have to set. And if they tell us these are the parameters to set and I do that and it doesn't give me the result I want, I have to start over. So that's kind of the issue. It's very sensitive. It's very particular. And we have a lot of fields because we do things differently in Norwalk, like the way we bill our sewer use is different. It's very efficient because we bill it on that real estate bill. We don't have to issue a separate bill. There's reasons why we do it that way, but we're like one of the few people that do it that way, but that complicates things. We bill an IPP fee. We have different mill rates based on the services that are provided. So all of these little details have to be put into the software, whereas in a lot of other towns, they don't have that. So if one little thing goes wrong, you have to start over because you really want those bills to be right. Right. I don't want to send someone a bill that's wrong and have to deal with that and people paying the wrong amount and so forth. So there's a lot that goes into it. But like I said, it's not like you just push a button and it happens. There's a lot of testing involved. But we getting there. And I appreciate the question because you should be aware of it. So I'm glad to respond to you.
Well, I'm gonna keep on asking until you tell me that it's exactly what you want.
Okay. That's fair.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great. Let the minutes reflect that Councilmember Dewan Wiggins has joined the finance meeting. Thank you. Do you have any other questions for the tax collector? Okay, hearing seeing none. Thank you for the very informative update. And again, for the detail in the narrative. And as mentioned, we'll bring the one item under the Claims Committee forward to the council for approval next Tuesday.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
We'll see you next month, folks. Take care.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to, there's no old business. That brings us to new business, and we have a few items here. The first item, item A, is item A and item A1 and item A1B. Item A1 reads as follows: recommend the allocation of $583,668 in special capital appropriation funds to the Recreation and Parks Department for the development and construction of the Norwalk Community Recreation Center at 98 South Main Street, as identified here in this memo and attached document, current account number as noted. And item 1B reads, recommend the reduction in the amount of $583,668 from the balance in the middle school bathroom improvement capital budget account number as noted. Do we have a motion on these two items? Councilmember Jim Freya, thank you. These two items are related to the construction of the Norwalk Community Recreation Center. And we have with us Alan Lowe from Building Management and Robert Sowers, our Director of Recreation and Parks, to provide additional information on this request.
Good evening. I assume that everybody is aware of the building and the history behind the building, and we own the city of Norwalk owns the building for a number of years. We haven't been able to start a project to renovate the building and to develop it for community use. So recently, we developed this project to build this new recreation center, which include a renovation of the existing building, just been gutting the existing building and adding a gym in the back of the building. The total project cost is right now is about $15 million, 1-5. Of that, around $10 million coming from state and federal dollars, which include about $6 million worth of ARPA money. The city contribution to this project so far is roughly about $5 million. We recently started the demolition, the side of the project, construction of the project. I think back in February, we actually had a groundbreaking ceremony. And since then, we've been very busy doing the interior demolition of the building. One of the things that we find back about a month ago is that when we start ripping out the interior walls and remove the insulation of the old insulation of the building, we found that we've been having water damage in the building for the last, I don't know for how long, since the construction. It's really it's unusual because when we look at the exterior of the building, the masonry joint, the mortar joints of the brick looks perfect condition from the outside. But once you open the interior walls, we notice that there's a lot of mold damage and water damage. And in fact, I think that I provided a full report as part of the backup information with pictures and everything else. So once we rip over the interior sheetrock, we find that on the wall that faces the Ryan Park, the stud is actually rusted to the point that it's not actually holding, it's not even touching the ground. So we had to went through a building, and also the other thing with brick exterior wall, there's tiebacks to hold the wall in place and tie to the structure of the building. And traditionally, these tiebacks are made out of galvanized steel, but galvanized steel still do rust and deteriorate. And so a lot of these tiebacks are all rusted away and it's not there anymore. So in today's world, we use stainless steel to do stainless steel tieback for installation. So as you go for the building, we find out that the water damage conditions. So the corrective work, including repointing the entire building. So we got to cut out all the joints and repoint the building. We got to put in these stainless steel tieback on the brick exterior wall. Thereafter, we're going to put in spray insulation, and at the same time on the east wall, which is the one that faces the Ryan Park, we're going to remove that wall completely because we're building a gym. So no sense fixing a wall that we really don't need, exterior wall that we no longer need, and we don't need to insulate that wall because it's going to be an interior wall. And also a couple of walls we need to interior wall, stud wall, we need to fully replace. I think that's pretty much it. The detailed information about the cost and what we need to do as part of the backup to this request. And some of the work has started already because we have some contingency available right now. So I can't wait any longer. The reason being is that every month we delay is worth about $40,000 to us. So having efficiency in the sense to get the work started and all is very critical because again, it's the overall cost and delay cost that's involved. And sequencing of the construction, the trade contractor comes in. If we delay them, they may not be able to come back for a month or two. Meanwhile, delay another trade and all that stuff. So there's a lot of construction-related scheduling issue that we need to consider. So at this time, we are requesting $586,000 or $568,000. This is the full amount of what we anticipate to be the corrective measures. And by allocating this money, we'll keep the current contingency amount, which is $400,000 intact, so that we can continue to move the project in case there's other things that come up. And I don't expect a lot coming up because the hardest part is doing demolitions. Once you do demolition, that's where you find unknown conditions. So we've done that already. The only thing that we're potentially concerned is actually soil remediation. We do know that the soil on the outside, it's polluted to the sense that when we have to remove it on the property, we have to dispose of it legally and correctly. We budget somewhere over $100,000 aside for that purpose already, but in case the quantity is increased and stuff like that, so there may be some changes in terms of that's what the contingent is for. So I need to maintain certain level of contingency in the project in case some. And I don't anticipate too much other unknowns because again, demolition is the time that we find problems, but then new construction typically is a little more straightforward that we know that we're putting up new stud walls and all that is part of the bid package already. So those numbers are much more secured in a sense. Anyway, so at this time, we're requesting this special allocation, $500,000 so that we can continue with this project. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Any questions? I have two questions. One, now that we've opened up the interior walls and we have then identified the issues on the back wall, are we confident that the rest of the building is structurally sound at this point?
Yes, I think when you talk about structural sound, there's two parts to this. One is the overall steel frame. The building is it's a steel frame building. So structurally, that portion has no issues. So the structural sound is really exterior wall brick veneer. We are actually currently putting in new ties for the entire building. So I believe every 16-inch vertical and 24 inches horizontal, and don't quote me on this, where we putting brand new tie backs for the entire building. So we have two structural engineers look at this already. One is from the product design team. The other one is actually by Mason Contractor. Before we do any more work, that's why they require us to do this so that the exterior wall, it's reinforced. So yes, structurally, we are meeting all the requirements.
And the second question as it relates to the finances, this special capital request, because we're reducing the same exact amount from the middle school bathroom, we're not going out to the funds will be available from the middle school project. So we don't have to go out and bond for this additional $500,000.
Right. We are not recommending to go additional debt for overall debt for the city of Norwalk. Previously, Board of Ed requested $1.5 million for the bathroom renovation for the middle schools, which consist of Rowland School, Nathan Hale, and West Rocks. As we look at the work that required, we are looking at future plans for those schools, a long-term plan for school, and potentially we're going to be renovating those schools in the future. So instead of completely renovate these bathrooms, gutting the whole thing and replacing plumbing fixtures and stuff, we look at a slightly reduced scope that was good for us to between 8 to 10 years of improvement. So that is we're not gutting it completely, but we did substantial significant improvement that would buy us at least 8 to 10 years. So that's a project we implemented for again Rowland School, West Rocks, and Nathan Hale. So out of $1.5 million, we spent $800 some odd thousand. Therefore, we have about $600,000 left, and then we're using about 500 somewhat of that for this project.
Yeah, and even though the two projects net out, so there is no additional cost to us, but because there is a new item that's requiring a new appropriation, we have to do this as a special appropriation.
Thank you. Any other questions about this special capital appropriation?
I'm sorry. My final comment is that on Monday night, I presented similarly this issue to the Land Use and Building Management Committee of Common Council, and concurrently, I'm going through the committee and going to Common Council at the same time. This item would go to Common Council. It's authorized authorize the department to issue a change order on Newfield Construction, who's our construction manager, so that this committee is approving the finances and land use, the building management. It will show up on the Land Use and Building Management Committee agenda. It's actually authorizing us to allocate this money for contingency purposes so that we can issue change order on the contract. So you're going to see this similar action twice on the council agenda.
And at this point, is there any other entity that needs to review this before it goes to the council?
No, we went through a BET on Monday, and yesterday I went to Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay.
After this committee, then it's going to could go to a Common Council. Your recommendation will go to a Common Council for next Tuesday night if that's the committee's wishes.
Okay. Any additional comments or questions related to this request? Yes, Councilmember Ann Weatherspoon.
I just have a quick question just to clarify. Could you say a little bit more about your thinking as to why we went into the schools, the balance for the middle school? Were there any other balances that were considered or other projects that were taken into consideration? Just wonder if you could say a little bit about that.
Yes, I think when I look at I'm responsible for capital improvement for school constructions, school as well as city municipal building construction. So I look at building management accounts and other things. This money is allocated about 3 years ago. Because there's a lot of public pressure to do something to improve those conditions, those bathrooms and the middle school.
Right.
We actually did the work. We really very quickly developed a strategy of what we want to do, how much we want to do. and we finished it. So the money is sitting in the account for about a year and a half
Okay,
already. And at the same time, we are looking at a long-term strategy in terms of school construction, 25-year plan for school construction. So I think of all the accounts that we have, I mean, South Norwalk School may have some money left at the end of the day, but we're still those projects are still under construction. So
Right.
that's why we don't look at those projects at this point. I'm looking at projects that's really completed, and I mean, yeah, I think that's one of the better accounts. It's not like we have a lot of different accounts that have a lot of money sitting around, but that project is finished, and I think that was a good place to take it from. So that was
Right.
my suggestion to Jared, and Jared agrees with the strategy.
yeah. I just want people who are listening to this meeting to understand that this was a balance. This isn't being taken away from something that we had planned to do in the schools. That
Yeah,
the
we have
completed.
we have done what we feel and want to do as part of this project. And it's also interesting that, you know what, when the city allocate money for whether it's public works or public works or school and stuff, the reallocation fund is not up to the department, it's up to the Common Council, the finance department, Common Council. So generally speaking, once a project is completed, doesn't have to go to the Board of Education. If the money allocated for Board of Education purposes, but once the project is finished, we work the Common Council, the City of Common Council, and the Finance Department is responsible decision process to. I mean, you can go to a public works project or other projects. So you go back to the general speaking of the pool, so that the decision where to spend it, it doesn't have to be a school project.
Mhm.
I mean, somebody may look at, oh, well, you got money for level of school construction, they should stay in school. That's not really true. You go back to the overall city's part of debt services.
All right, that's helpful. Thank you.
Councilmember Jim Freya.
Well, yeah, I think that's what Alan just explained was my question, was that we should be very clear that we're not going back to the school budget and saying, okay, we want to take that money out and going to move it over here. It's a citywide thing, and you're looking at the accounts irrespective of whether it's a school or DPW or whatever, any other particular department. And so it's just the accounts that you're looking at, and where we have a surplus or we have an overage or any money that's left over, that's where you're going to fund it. And the fact is that we're not increasing any budget. We're still within our overall budget by using up funds that were allocated, that had been budgeted, but have not been fully expended as yet. Or do we expect them to be fully expended? That's all I had one day.
Lastly, because this issue, we are just being delayed about a month. So that's why there's a little bit, if you look at the detail on the cost, there's some cost in it. But at the same time is that we are scheduled to be finished by early spring of next year. So probably next year, about February or March, the latest, we are scheduled to finish this project. So we should be doing pretty well.
Just a comment. This item in the comments not related to this special capital appropriation, but it does beg the question: what other projects that we have completed possibly have leftover funding? And not that can be for Jared or yourself, and not that it needs to be answered tonight, but it does beg the question that if we have other projects that have been closed out where we did not use all of the initially allocated funding, what does those numbers look like?
I can tell you very clearly. I mean, the main, it's funny that Lisa came on this meeting before and talked about how she raised money, hard work behind her hard work to raise money, and I end up the person that's spending all the money that she raises, right? But at the same time, I have a responsibility to manage it properly and minimize the cost to others, right? So in the last few years, last 7 years, the project we finished was on Pona School. I believe there was about $2 million left. That money, about $1 million went to DPW for the drainage improvement and this intersection of Meadow Street and the South Main Street intersection for drainage. Another $1 million went to same intersection to traffic mobility to improve the intersection improvement. So what's left on that project, it's what's moved out of those accounts. So there generally there's no money in those accounts. The next one is bonus that would be Jefferson. Jefferson money there, I think there was like $3 million left. I think we moved that money into the acquisition of properties for the for South Norwalk School on Oxford Street. We acquired we acquired 6 properties, altogether 6 property. So that money is moving to there. On Cranberry School, which we just finished recently, we moved $2.5 million into 98 South Main Street, which is the recreation center. So those are the main, I mean, these are major projects the city has in terms of construction. I mean, these are huge numbers, right? I mean, Pona started out as a I think it's $33 million project. I think it's $40 million, I'm sorry. Jefferson was $33 million and Cranberry is $45 million. So these are significant projects. And then again, we have a couple of million here and there kind of thing, but we through the years, we moved those money into the other projects to support other things. What's left? I don't have any. The one that I'm expected to have some residual is actually South North School. We are doing pretty well. We are scheduled to open in complete the project in end of August and open the facility. I expect a few in terms, probably $2 or $3 million left in those accounts. So I think everything should hold. We are at the end of the project right now in terms of like we're painting, we're putting up sheetrocks and everything else, interior work, and the furniture is all bought out and stuff like that. In fact, we're talking about delivery and moving and all that stuff. So to finally answer your question, we are. That's the only project that I'm in charge of that have significant money that potentially will revert back. On the other hand, the school HVAC project, we are struggling. So there's another conversation another day. I don't want to get into it today. We got bids back and those numbers are it's crazy. So we're going through all this scope review, looking at whether we can reduce some of the scope and changing things to see bring it within budget. So there are many challenges with those. There's 6 projects, a total of $36 million. So we are working very hard to find solution to get as much of those 6 projects online as possible.
And Greg, just to follow up on that, I'm obviously interested in that as well, in your question. And as you know, there's the Charter Revision Commission that's going on now, and they've proposed a number of changes in the budget process, both on the operating and the capital side, more so on the capital side. And one of the things that I recommended and is in the draft version now, and hopefully will end up being adopted, is to sunset projects that have balances in them. So after 4 years, the project would automatically sunset. I would produce a report for all the entities to review in preparation for that. So you would have a list of all those projects that fall into that are older than 4 years old, and be able to look at those. And if the boards want those projects to continue, you would have to proactively cast another vote, basically almost to approve it again, to keep it going. Otherwise, it will sunset after 4 years.
And that would also mean any funding not utilized in those projects could be reallocated.
Yep, reallocated, right. Reallocated, or deauthorized, or deallocated,
Okay, great. Councilmember Jim Freya.
Well, I think that's exactly what the point that I was going to get to was what Jared just brought up. And I recall that when I was on the BET several years ago, one of the questions we had was when we were looking at the capital budget, and you get a performance report of how much is for every particular project, how much is allocated, how much has been spent, and then how much is sitting there that has not yet been spent. And at the time, before your time, Jared, we had asked the CFO to go back and to take a hard look and find out those items that were several years old. And if there was money left there, that we should be reducing our overall capital budget. It wasn't going to happen. And I think that's where Alan is so good about going back and understanding whether there is any residual or whether that residual amounts that we have there are going to be needed, and if not, then we should be utilizing them on those projects that may be getting more expensive than what we had originally anticipated. But I agree with the change to the charter. That's an excellent idea, just to make it automatic rather than having to be somebody have to go back and look at every line and decide whether they want to keep it open or close it right away. So thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments related to the motion that's on the table? And before we vote, Mr. Sowers, I don't know if you had any comments that you wanted to make related to this item.
No, I'm just here to thank the council. Hopefully you'll vote for this because we've got this exciting community center that's coming, and I'm just grateful.
Great, thank you. Seeing no further comments or questions, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of these two recommendations, so by a raise of hand. And it looks like it is unanimous. Thank you. Great. So we will move this forward to the full council on Tuesday, May 13th for final review and approval.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on to item B under new business. Resolution reads as follows: making appropriations for various public improvements aggregating $74,522,646 for the fiscal year 2025-2026 capital budget and authorizing the issuance of $74,522,646 general obligation bonds of the city to meet certain appropriations in the fiscal year 2025-2026 capital budget. Do we have a motion on this resolution? Councilmember Johan Lopez, thank you. And we have our CFO Jared Smith to walk us through this appropriation.
All right, thank you again. And this is a continuation of many conversations that have been had about the capital budget. You've approved the capital budget, and now this is the formal vote. This is the formal vote to say, okay, we authorize the appropriation and authorize the issuance of those dollars that were in the capital budget. One very large caveat to this is you're authorizing this, and the authorization of the appropriation will be in place once this gets adopted, if it gets adopted, and also authorizing the issuance. However, we will, before we go to issue bonds, we will go out to all the departments. We'll take a look at all the projects that they have. We will try to get a sense from them what they think they're actually going to need in bond proceeds and cash to implement these projects, to build it, to purchase equipment. over the next 12 to 18 months. And so that's how we determine how much of this gets issued. We still need to do the full authorization for things like, I'll give you one example, the fire truck that's in here. That needs to get authorized in order for us to purchase the fire truck and have it built. However, there's probably a 3 to 4 year lag on us receiving that and actually paying for it. But we need to actually show that the dollar amount has been approved in order for the manufacturing company to build the fire truck. And so that's why it's on here, but that's an example of something that we will not issue bonds for until we know that it's going to be completed and we're going to have to shell out money for it. Another good example, which happens every year with the WPCA bonding, they have to make applications, and very often their projects take more than a year before they can actually get started on them. But they need the authorization to happen. But that doesn't mean that we're going to issue over the next 12 months. So I just wanted to remind you that that's the case. Just because you see the dollar amounts that are before you, it doesn't mean that we're going to be issuing that amount, and we'll know better probably within the next 2 months. We'll be going out to the departments to get their lists and do that before we issue bonds sometime in July or August, thereabouts.
Great, thank you for that. Any questions or comments related to this resolution? Again, these numbers we should be familiar with as it relates to the capital budget plan, which we've already reviewed. So at this point, if there's no other questions or comments, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of this resolution show by a raise of hand. And it is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move this again to the full council on Tuesday, May 13th for final review and approval. We have one additional item for the committee, which was a late entry. It's not on the agenda, so I'd like to read it into the agenda. So I'll start with asking for a motion to add the, can I have a motion to add the following item to the agenda, which is authorizing the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an electric voting equipment lease agreement with the state of Connecticut for a lease term of approximately 10 years and a total lease cost of $1. Account number noted. Councilmember Doug Sutton makes the motion to add this item to the agenda. I'll call for the question. All those in favor show by a raise of hand. Okay, Mr. Wiggins, I didn't see your vote.
Abstain.
Okay, you'd like to abstain? Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favor and 1 abstention. So now this item has been added to the agenda. And now I'll read the motion again for a vote on the authorization. And we can have discussion. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an electric voting equipment lease agreement with the state of Connecticut for a lease term of approximately 10 years and a total lease cost of $1, account number noted. Do we have a motion on this item? Councilmember Ann Weatherstrand, thank you. In terms of the discussion on this item, the state of Connecticut has purchased new voting machines, both scanners and tabulators, and has mandated that all municipalities in Connecticut lease the new voting machines from the state. the Connecticut legislator has provided approval for the rental payment for the new voting machines to be $1 in total for approximately a 10-year lease. All responsibilities for acquisition of the software to run the machines, as well as the maintenance, service, repair, and safe storage of the new voting machines rests within the city. And is currently the case with the existing voting machines that we have here in Norwalk. The registrars of voters are requesting that the Common Council approve the lease so that they can take delivery of the new voting machines and the appropriate employees may begin training on the new machines. That is the narrative, the backup related to this. And if anyone has any comments or questions, we can address them at this time. Okay, hearing, seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of this authorization show by a raise of hand. And it is unanimous. Great, thank you. So we will move this item for final review and authorization to the Common Council meeting on Tuesday, May 13th. And we'll move forward with getting the new machines. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn? Councilmember Jim Freya, thank you. All those in favor? Hands went up quickly on that one. All right, great. Have a good evening. Thank you for your time and efforts, and we'll see you. Have a good
Thank you,
evening.
everybody.
Oh, I'm
Have a good
sorry.
night.
All right. I thought you had a
Thank you.
question, Jared. All
Nope,
right, great.
nope, just want to say thanks.
All right, great.
Thanks.
Good night.